politics, and religion.
Well, just what the world needs, another tax. Today we're learning that there's a new global VAT tax to rein in the banks. What's happening is a tough proposal to cut the world's biggest banks down to size by taxing their profits and pay were outlined by the International Monetary Fund just tonight in an attempt to spare taxpayers another massive public bailout of the financial sector. Now, we've got to realize that there is a lot more here than meets the eye. The people of the world, the one worlders, those people who believe in global governance, better known as world government, have been looking for a way to pass an international tax for a long time. As far as 10, 15 years ago, the Tobin tax had been introduced at the United Nations, and the goal was to supply the UN with an independent source of funding. The UN had often been held hostage by such nations as the United States if the UN did not do what the U.S. wanted it to do. Because the U.S. is the number one contributor, they merely cut off the funding, and consequently it would paralyze the UN, and it forced the UN to always look over its shoulder for approval from the United States of America. So they've been looking for an independent source of funding so the United Nations can be a truly independent global government. Well, don't look now, but under the guise of fixing the world's economy, they now are passing this VAT tax. Let me see if I can tell you exactly what this stands for. It has a special meaning here. I'll tell you a little bit what it really stands for, but it's dealing with taxing all of the excess profits of the banks so that they can now stockpile this money, and this money will then be there in reserve in case there's another global crisis. They can use this money to go in, and it will not fall back on the taxpayer any longer. Now, you know this is going to get wonderful acceptance because none of the taxpayers like the bailout. I mean, how do you like it? All these people that had all this money to invest, so they lost some of it, and they turned to you and I, scraping to make ends meet, and said, we need you to bail David Rockefeller out. Do what? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And guess what? The Fed won't even tell us who got the money. I mean, I was watching on video when Bernanke was in front of the House Banking Committee, and some of the congressmen said, we want you to tell us who got this money. He looked at them and said, I can't do that. Now we're looking at the government sitting here saying, tell us what you did with the money. He said, we can't do that. If we did that, it would produce runs on the bank. It would threaten the U.S. and the world financial system, and we're not telling you. Well, Mr. Bloomberg filed with the federal government under the Freedom of Information Act, and now the courts have ruled that they have to tell. But, of course, there's a lot of money here. The bankers have an unlimited amount of money, so they now appeal to the next level and to the next level. What is this really all about? This is really all about placing every financial institution in the world. Now, please hear me carefully. Every financial institution in the world under the International Monetary Fund. There are two international financial entities, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The head of the World Bank always comes from the United States of America since it was created in 1944, and the IMF is always headed by a leader from Europe. Well, now then, we're placing the leadership of the international financial system in the hands of the International Monetary Fund, which means Europe will wield this incredible policy at this time. And now they're going to pass this VAT tax, this international financial tax, not just on banks, on every financial institution. It's right here. And everyone is applauding wildly. Oh, we're going to make sure this never happens again. No, what you're making sure is we're ushering in a global system of taxation so that people in America will be paying tax to the world government, and then they're going to be independently funded. And if you don't think it's going to be a lot of money, they're even talking about a small financial tax on every international financial transaction. Some people estimate it could be $250 trillion per year. probably run a pretty nice world government. Oh, by the way, your Bible prophesies a world government is coming, and very, very soon. And that's what this is all about. You're watching the world government spoken of in Bible prophecy being set up right now. It's official. The Evangelical Lutheran Church in America has officially abolished its policies against homosexual activity in the church. Lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgenders can now serve in every capacity in the church, including as pastors. They say this action is a gift of love and truth. But is it? We'll talk about it today on Politics and Religion.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it. Well, it is a huge question. Those of us who are Christians believe that Jesus